Twin Bill, where you can get your fill of hosts Jason and Marcus talking about movies and stuff. You know you never can get enough. A twin is two people who are related. Twin Bill. This season is Razzie Mania. Hello and welcome to Twin Bill, the show where the twins talk about two movies. One's the whole thing, the Razzie quality, and one is allegedly a classic. I'm your host and stand-up comedian Jasonluna, here with my identical twin brother and engineer. Is that what you want to be introduced as? Marcus Luna. Keep the engineering out of it, but whatever. Yeah, that's what I do for a living. Okay, he's a raconteur otherwise. Okay, we need to talk about Hurry Up Tomorrow and later on performance. General concept of movie, we'll find out. Okay, before we get into the movie this week, it's been I think 2 weeks. What did you watch anything? You probably did. Yeah, I had to go on business travel to South Carolina. On the way back, I took a transfer from Washington, D.C., so I had a good 5-hour-ish flight, something like that. So I watched a couple movies, but I liked them both. Sounds like a Jane's Addiction biopic, but it was Austin caught stealing. Darren Aronofsky directed. Austin Butler is a bartender who gets caught into a mob thing, a lot of violence. It was a fun movie. I remember seeing previews for it. I was gonna say because I'm glad you seem to have enjoyed it, because when the previews came out, it looked like it was a bit of a I don't know how to describe it, knockoff of good movies from the 70s. I guess there's thrillers like that, but nice, some funny character work with Liev Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio playing Hasidic Jews slash mobsters. Liev Schreiber really likes playing Hasidic Jews. He's in the other movie, the Woody Allen directed by Turo. Anyway, yeah. What else you watch? And I did a twin bill of sorts on the plane. Hi, and did if you notice, they both start with C because I went. They had A to Z on the United flight, and I went early in the alphabet, and like if I saw a movie I wanted to watch, I just watched it, and then didn't go through the whole alphabet. And be like, this one sounds better. I watched Civil War right after alphabetically. Oh, you mean the indie movie about the Alex Garland directed Kristen Dunst, that Brazilian guy. It's really good actor. I can't remember his name. I think my Ken Burns Civil War was no novel choice. Excellent military movie. And talk about movie being relevant. Jesus Christ, is everyone in their backyard getting their automatic weapons out and shooting at each other. Hope it doesn't come to that, but seems more like a possibility. So it's dark, but it was I thought it was very good. I like both those movies. Those are the movies I watched since we last recorded. Okay, I watched a little more because of recent releases, but not recent release. I watched a modern documentary called Schlock about the rise of exploitation cinema in the 50s. It got pretty boring. It was very generic, but I was happy to see Roger Corman and Dick Miller alive, at least on cinema on my cinema screen. I probably know who he is. Who's Dick Miller? He's in every Joe Dante movie. He played he's facing the guy in Gremlins. Gremlins is the weirdest one because he plays like he's married to some woman, and then the Gremlins drive a tractor into his house or something. And then Terminator, he was shot in the gun store by Arnie, right? That's right. I'm gonna need to see a license. This is my license. Like, that was the bad Arnie impression, obviously. You can't hold that here. Yeah. but mostly Roger Corman because very like sure about I made a movie called Beach Blanket Boobies. It's kind of not exactly it, but it's pretty much what it sounds. Oh, I love Mask of the Red Death. Yeah, when he was actually directing movies and cared in the
Yeah.
60s. He always said he was a director second, but he was competent. Yeah. And then a movie that Marcus allegedly had seen before, and I don't remember, but whatever. Speaking of Roger Corman, he literally told Samuel Arkoff to make this as a rock and roll high school, the Ramones movie. Happy to see Mary Woronov and Vince Van Patten. no, well, yeah, he's in it, but the the guy Paul Bartel, because they're the married couple in one of my favorite movies, Eating Raoul, and she plays the typical we got to get back at that dean, fuck that dean. She's like the douchey marm who's trying to stop rock and roll, and Paul Bartel's the arts high school teacher who's initially anti rock and roll, but is won over because he realizes art is art. Anyway, just one joke because there's a lot of very funny runners, kind of like Airplane and stuff. Because Marion Wonorov, very famous scene in the movie, she blows up a rat with a teenage lobotomy as a demonstration of how bad rock and roll is. And then out of nowhere, at the big Ramones concert, a giant lab rat shows up, and the guy's like, "We can't let you in. It's not safe." And then the giant lab rat pulls out industrial strength headphones. That was a good joke. Just surreals. Also, a great movie for me, but I thought it was hilarious. I mean, my expectations are already lowered in a AIP Roger Corman produced movie, but Boy Scout or Hall Monitor guys are like body inspection or whatever. Yeah, I watch more. I guess I watch more teen 80s teen movies than you do. That was pretty tame. All right, so I watched two theatrical releases. Have you seen Spider-Man Brand New Day yet?
No.
We'll talk about then. We'll talk more when you see it, I guess. And then I did watch The Odyssey since our last podcast, the Christopher Nolan thing.
Not the Armand Asante one.
No, or the Wishbone one.
No, Wishbone did one.
Just one episode of a TV show, but yeah. Anyway,
did everyone die in that one?
I don't know. I mean, they probably had to infer it because that's what happened in the book. But anyway, I just want to say the movie's very good. It did something that the book, I don't remember the book doing as much. The movie Troy, which is terrible. Well, it's okay. I'm getting ahead of myself. Two things. One, I thought this movie was going to be like Troy because they started out showing the Battle of Troy very realistically. And I was like, I don't want to watch another movie where it's like Troy treated like a war epic. But it got more science fiction-y and Greek gods and stuff later on. But the thing about the ending that even the book didn't really capture as strongly was that Odysseus feels guilt about all the murders he did in his life. And to me, the speech that he gives at the end, or what we call speech or a reflection on camera or whatever, about how, he believes that the belief in the gods will return and people will be nice again. It seemed like it was a dead-on shot at Donald Trump. And I don't know if that was intentional or not, but to me, it kind of seemed like that.
Yeah, Nolan has done that before. With his writing.
Civility, I think they said, or something. Yeah. So yeah, that was a very beautiful film. I don't think any movie should be 3 hours long when I have to sit there in person, but I went to the bathroom like 3 times, but
Go through and go somehow.
I mean, I didn't leave, but I went to the bathroom. All right.
Let's talk more about bathroom breaks.
Okay. Speaking of bathroom breaks, should take one during Hurry Up Tomorrow. But talking about why Hurry Up Tomorrow is relevant today, all I have is all 3 leads. The Weeknd, very, how do you say that? Very Kagan,
I guess. I don't know.
And Wednesday Addams, what's her real name? Jenna Ortega. They're still all working and relevant, so there's that. And music videos replacing movies as what kids watch has already happened. So this movie is very somehow ahead of its time and on its time. And also it talks about the burden of celebrity, I guess, and stuff like that. Honestly, the premise of this movie is actually appealing to me. We'll get into the lack of execution in a second, but
Yeah, let's get into the crew thing. So I guess I don't know. I don't know. On top is the yeah, but anyway, I don't know which was better. So I'll ask you first then. Fine.
oh yeah, let's do it.
Do you have any insights into the directing career of Trey Edward Schultz before you watch this movie? And
Not before I Google his filmography. I mean, I always do that for everyone uh, with this podcast. And I hadn't seen any of his films. I uh, I only heard bad things about It Comes at Night from
well, actually,
horror aficionado type people.
I was gonna say because you say bad things, but the movie actually got a positive Rotten Tomatoes score, but the audience score was like, it's a horror movie. Where the monsters? They talked about a Red Letter Media that horror fans ruined that movie.
Well, one friend I remember interacting with about it was that it's just not horror. I was like, okay,
I disagree, but I didn't watch it, so I can't
I don't
disagree too
either.
strongly. And then you can ask me about just
Uh,
this one.
this film was written by Reza Fahim. What did you know about it before? What did you learn about it?
Well, as will become apparent with the credits of this movie, most of this production staff are just seems like people that worked with The Weeknd, presumably in the music studio or something, because the
Yeah.
credits are not like big movies and also The Weeknd. So the biggest credit for Reza Fahim is that he worked on The Idol, which kind of sounds like this movie, but in TV form. Uh, The Weeknd is some he's a musician living in California. I don't know. It's a TV show. I don't know. Yeah, sounds boring.
Oh yeah, that show. That talk about films that got critically panned.
TV show, but yeah.
With Johnny Depp's daughter. Yeah, I figured everyone worked this movie. Maybe not Trey Edward Schultz, but everyone else in the production side knew The Weeknd because to give to allow The Weeknd to have a writing credit. I don't know. Maybe he's a brilliant screenwriter in addition to being a popular musician. But
You can kind of tell he wrote the movie. It's based on his life and includes insights into his songs. Too many insights into his songs. So into the two producers that aren't The Weeknd or Reza Fahim. So doing anything about Kevin Turin?
no, I'm reading your notes here.
I'm supposed to read those notes, but I forget.
So no, I don't know anything about him. Tell me about him.
He produced a movie called Those Who Wish Me
How do
Dead.
we watch that? Angelina Jolie,
Oh yeah, the
firefighters
what's his
and
name?
fires.
The guy who controls all the media now at Yellowstone.
Taylor Sheridan.
Yes. So that was a bit of a genre flip. I guess they're both emotional and involve fire. But,
Yeah, he's a fire producer.
okay, one more producer.
Uh, Tell me what you know about Harrison Christ. Jesus Christ. No, Kreiss. SS. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the more successful people who that's not just like doing the weekend's bidding. He was a very short-lived producer on Euphoria. I think it was less than a season, but that's kind of cool.
Not interested in that show.
And then he produced the Lady with No Eyebrows horror movie at a farm movie X.
I'll watch those at some point because I friends and stuff like that like those movies a lot.
Yep. So I'll go to the music, which unsurprisingly the weekend also gets credit for that. But do you have any familiarity with Daniel Lopatin?
Louboutin sounds like Louboutins. Let's get some shoes. No, go ahead.
He worked on the two big Safdie brothers movies that came out a while ago. So Good Time and
Marty Supreme.
he did work on Marty Supreme, but I was gonna say the other one, the
Oh,
Gems, Uncut Gems, and also Marty Supreme. Yes, that's his most recent credit. But
interesting because Marty Supreme is mostly 80s music.
kind of a score though. You can't just have.
Yeah,
I mean, you
I
can,
don't
but
remember this.
bad. Quentin Tarantino's the only guy who can try to do it. just I really like this song. Yeah. Uh, so yeah, oh, now again the cast. It's like I get the big one on accident.
Tell me what you knew about Abel Tesfaye, aka much better known as The Weeknd.
Well, he did a song that sounds like a Rod Stewart song that is the most popular song. So screw you, Weekend. But also,
Like talking about Blind by the Light people.
yeah, dun, 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 dun. Very similar to Young Turks by Rod Stewart. Just saying. Anyway, obviously, all I knew at the time to watch this movie was that he did the Super Bowl, and he's kind of ubiquitous singer. Never really a fan of that sort of like overproduced non-vocal singing. I don't know, but
He reminds me a lot of Michael Jackson, and it's a that and most people compare to Michael Jackson musically. I'm not getting to the personal side of him. Is a big downgrade. Um,
briefly say that his quote unquote acting career, he played himself in Uncut Gems that I didn't watch, and then he was a heavy contributor to the Black Panther soundtrack, which isn't really a movie credit, but there you go.
Excellent movie. It's probably his best musical work. I don't remember his songs in that
It might
that
have been
well.
like a credit song or something stupid like that. But, yeah. Oh, because the cast, let's briefly mention he played a shocker, a mentally troubled pop star. Okay, yes, named
Fictionalized version of himself, I would say.
can we
Because he's
tell?
literally called he called the Weekend in the movie.
Yeah. And then what are your thoughts on Jenna Ortega, who played Anima, like Animus? The anyway,
Oh wow! So it's
we,
like so that character is kind of like what's it? Mother, the Aronofsky film where they have character names that kind of
a lot more subtle than Mother, but yes, uh, Abel's stalker slash love interest, I guess. I don't know. Any thoughts on Jenna Ortega?
uh I don't know. Like, she she's much more emotional in this. I actually don't. I've never seen Wednesday. Not that I might have fun with that, but I haven't. I don't think I've seen any of her film work. She was in that Killing of a Unicorn, which I didn't see. I'm kind of surprised her based on what the clips I've seen and stuff. I'm surprised she's kind of in this because she's very emotional, way too much. I'm not sure if I blame her, but whatever. And she's very deadpan and Wednesday. I thought that's kind of her jam. But uh, what do you think about Jenna Ortega?
Uh, we'll get to the reviews that she at least knows how to act, which becomes a crucial point when you're playing off of the weekend. But so in this movie, she was fine. She was given
Yeah.
nothing to work with because half her scenes are dancing to weekend songs, felt like. But
Yes, we'll get to her dancing in a
yeah.
second.
And then what do you think about Barry Keegan as Lee, the possessive and kind of evil manager of the weekend?
I love Barry Keegan. His parts and stuff like Banshees of Sharon. It's one of those guys you could just tell is incredibly talented, can kind of do anything. Uh, I don't think I'm not sure I've seen a lot of his movies though, but he's been in stuff like the guy who did Begonia and stuff like that. He was in The Sacred of the Killing Deer, which you probably like because it's by I love all of that guy's movies. But it doesn't get a lot to do here.
Yeah, I thought he was kind of dragged down by the material to a sort of not modeling, but generic performance of like the guy who isn't evil but is kind of weird and then turns out to be kind of evil slash violent at the end. It was kind of like he's kind of playing the tropes a little. Greatest hits. It's just not his fault because it's just the screenplay. But, yeah.
All right.
Okay, let's talk about the title. This is one of the worst titles. I would say this one of the worst titles I came across this podcast because "Hurry Up Tomorrow," like it's not referenced in the movie, and only I can think of is like is a reference to the weekend, like oh, I want the weekend to come or something.
No, well, at least I don't think so. I think it's. well, it's a song in the movie for one thing, so it might be I think it might be the name of his album.
Oh,
But I believe I would interpret "Hurry Up Tomorrow," and especially in the realm of this film, as I'm so depressed today. Hurry up tomorrow because it has to be better than the shit I'm in now, type of thing.
yeah. Or it's kind of like I'm racing to the same thing over and over again. Kind of feels like. But
Like,
you're right. I mean, not to get too anti-analytical about it, but it is a music video for the album. So I mean, yeah. Yeah. Talk about the poster. Poster's fine, generic art stuff. I don't like that. You can try to point at it. It's not gonna work with this. The blue teeth. I know that's supposed to be something menacing from the movie or something, but it just looks like he had an icy and it burned his tongue or something. He's like, ee.
yeah, I think posters like this, where the colors are supposed to portray emotions, and not even specific emotions, just that there's a turmoil happening. Uh, Although I'm saying that after watching the film, there's clearly a very large turmoil happening in the Weeknd's life.
I don't even think of Jenna Ortega's face as turmoil. I think of it as a like it looks cool or looks like a I don't know, this looks like a Nicholas Wayne and Refn movie.
Well, in hindsight, you mentioned the fire thing. Jenna Ortega's face might be red because she her only character trait is she has a gasoline tank with her and she arsons the shit out of everything.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a poster. It's fine. I mean, but I wouldn't say it's good either. And then
Tagline.
oh yeah. All I have is my legacy. I mean, I said I kind of liked it because uh it's kind of what the Weeknd is to me. He's just an image of a pop star, and also it fits the character because he's kind of an asshole and a drug addict. So like he doesn't have anything else in his life either. So I liked it.
Right. And again, fits the plot of the turmoil slash identity crisis he has after his breakup. Um, so it's decent.
Yeah. You watch the trailer?
Oh God. No, I didn't. No, I no.
Okay, so that's not a great trailer, but it's not horrible. But I did think it was less effective than watching the movie, which makes sense, I guess, because even watching a movie on a TV, you can't get the resonance of the special effects shots and like the wide zooms. I feel like it was a lot of SFX shots in the trailer, but it was kind of like flat. I'll try to describe. And then instead of a traditional voiceover, they used the rambling voice from one of his dreams. It was very annoying to listen to again.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like it really captured the menace of the movie, whatever menace the movie had. It was kind of flat.
Well, for a movie like this, to get any enjoyment out of it, you have to like the music of the guy doing it, and neither of us are big fans.
Well, I mean, I kind of disagree a little bit because the movie had special effects and a slight thriller plot. I mean, it wasn't like totally just a concert film or something. But yeah, but I agree that like I guess I would have no. But that's the thing is, I think the movie would be better if you like the music, but the trailer I don't think would be better. It would just be kind of like flat and be like, "Oh, the Weeknd is a movie. I'll go watch it." But it's not like I love that trailer. Anyway, you watch it, so you know. Uh, Talk about the awards. So we got surprisingly complicated. So let's get into it. Um, the Hawaii Film Critics Society. I didn't think we could even go this deep. It's the only one that's weird. So whatever. Or gave it the worst film of the year. I didn't bother listing the other worst films of the year because we'll probably watch them for the thing, and I hadn't seen any of them before. So, but yeah, it's a lot of bad movies on there. Yeah.
Got good taste in worse films. It's pretty bad.
And here's the really weird one: the MTV Video Music Awards. This movie was nominated for Best Long Form Video and lost to Ariana Grande's Brighter Days Ahead.
I don't know how long that is because an hour and a half movie, or probably a little more than an hour and a half. That's a really long form video.
Yeah. It is long form. But Ariana Grande is similarly, well, it's not similarly. It's like set in the future, and there's like science fiction tropes. I didn't watch it or anything, but
If I had to pick two artists, compared to artists against each other, I prefer Ariana Grande over The Weeknd. So good job, MTV Video Music
yeah,
Awards.
that's not much of a kind of thing for
She has a good voice.
whatever. And then so Zeke Faust, bonus crew listing, Zeke Faust, the VFX artist on this film,
Mm,
who also did the VFX for the Redbox sci-fi space soldier, aka Let's Exploit Bruce Willis while he's still not brain dead in hindsight, called Cosmic Sin, came out in 2021, peak Bruce Willis mental problems. Bruce Willis, Frank Grillo, and Pamela Anderson's son, Brandon Thomas Lee.
no.
What a cast.
Oh, but there's Brandon. I guess there was a Thomas there, but Brandon Lee. RIP to the real Brandon Lee.
Not even intentional. I don't even know. And see, so he lost the visual effects award for this movie. That was the only. If I had to pick a best thing, that's movie is probably
This was at the MTV Video Music Awards.
the for yes, lost to another long formish thing, Sabrina Carpenter's Man Child. Not quite as ambitious as the Ariana Grande one. It's like she's driving and there's flashbacks to hanging out with celebrities or something. I don't know. I think I like Sabrina Carpenter more, but mostly because she's very.
I don't know about the special effects in Hurry Up Tomorrow. The cinematography is notable.
I thought there's some good effects, fake grandiose imagery and stuff, and
Just the arson special effects.
transitions, colors. That's special effects. Even like the stuff on the poster. Whatever. And then let's get to the big boys, the Golden Raspberry Awards. This movie was nominated for Worst Picture of the Year, and a theme that'll come up a lot this year. It lost the War of the Worlds. Probably deserved.
Yeah, I'd say War of the Worlds is worse.
Definitely enjoyed War of the Worlds more, and it flowed better, but
That's more so bad it's good with Ice Cube just yelling random
Direct Tomorrow's just so slow. That's the problem. But anyway, yeah. Trey Edward Schultz was nominated for Worst Director, lost to Rich Lee for War of the Worlds. So they're similar. And then
I think it was Hurry Up Tomorrow was also better directed, so I think Rich Lee deserved it more.
probably. And then Hurry Up Tomorrow nominated for Worst Screenplay, lost to H.G. Wells slash generic modern hacks. He technically gets a screenwriting credit for War of the Worlds.
Jeez. There's so little of a screenplay here. Maybe just give it worse screenplay for Hurry Up Tomorrow for that.
I mean, if Ice Cube's dialogue was scripted, that probably deserves the worst screenplay for me. But
Yeah.
Muffin.
Ad lib, motherfucker. No, don't do that. That was just generic. But
And then Abel, don't do call me the Weekend. Tesfaye was nominated for Worst Actor and lost to Ice Cube in War of the Worlds. That one's kind of a slam dunk. Although
no, I would pick Apple over.
I was just when I said it, I was like, I'm probably wrong, but it's so hard because Ice Cube is more like locked in, horrible, and Abel's annoying, but something weirdly trying there.
We'll get to it, but there's one scene in particular.
Yeah. And then worst couple combo. I didn't put the winner here because we haven't seen it yet, but Weekend and his ego was nominated.
There's still being this rings of nominating that guy for worst supporting actress in the
Not quite as offensive, but I mean, we'll get to the critical consensus. That's what literally every critic said was that it's the ego project. But and there was a poorly reviewed family film, which we'll watch very soon, that won the award. Oh yeah, let's take a break so I don't look too much. Yeah. So there are a lot of people in Hurry Up Tomorrow who played themselves, but you or I probably didn't recognize them. Here's some questions about that. Metro Boomin played himself in Hurry Up Tomorrow. He is a pioneering producer of what Atlanta-based subgenre of hip hop that got its name from a nickname for locations that illegal drugs are made and sold in.
trap.
Yes. Belly played himself. Belly is a rapper and is part Canadian, but also has ancestry with what Middle Eastern country that is often in the news?
Iran.
Palestine. I'm saying this wrong. Gaspard Auge or Auge played himself. He is perhaps best known as a member of an electronic music duo with what one word name? A word in the title of both an Al Pacino movie and a Metallica album.
Same.
They're both called Injustice for All. Justice is the duo.
Mm.
Xavier X Xavier or whatever. Xavier de Rosnay, the other half of Justice, also played himself. In an interview, he said he enjoyed cooking, especially what thin, delicate French pancakes filled with sweet or savory fillings.
Crepe.
Yes, he likes the crepe. And then we talked about this briefly off air, but Riley Keough did not play herself, but she oddly played dual roles in very small amounts. She was a girl heard on a voicemail and also Janet Ortega's mom on the phone. Very odd. Riley Keough is the granddaughter of what very famous and also very odd personal life Rock and Roll Hall of Fame member.
God, we did just talk about this. I'm totally blank. Elvis?
Yes, she is the one who was in Naked Gun's daughter. I think Priscilla.
Yeah.
Okay, talk about the Oscar stuff briefly. Like I mentioned, or you kind of disagreed that there's some solid VFX works in this movie, which is kind of impressive if you thought it was a music video, but I like a lot of transitions and stuff. Yeah.
Those more cinematography, but it's just
Okay, fine.
picking, I guess.
Also, ambitious, if at times pretentious, editing slash cinematography. Every shot was turned upside down. Every shot, every shot had a fade. I was like,
Yeah.
so it's good and bad. And then generically bad makeup, mostly on the weekend. I mean, I guess they're going for it, I guess. But
Didn't really notice that.
there's one shot where he's dreaming and it goes like weird, but a couple shots, I think. But anyway, and then sound design was something. It's probably complicated at least to do if even if it wasn't good.
Trying to think of sound besides the music.
There was a lot of layering of like music on top of dialogue and dialogue under music and okay.
When I think of sound, I think of the score, which was kind of lame synthy stuff.
Yeah, that was the only stuff I liked in the movie wasn't it got away from pure singing. But, you know. Okay, let's do my awards. Okay, best scene in Hurry Up Tomorrow. My candidates are generic category for all of the spacey imagery stuff when he was playing keyboards in his bathrobe. That was kind of technically look cool. And then
That does look cool.
that one scene is very generic, very tropey, but he's in the bathtub and he wakes up from his nightmare in the bathtub. That's kind of cool shot. Those are my three candidates. Well, there's something else.
I don't know if I'm thinking of the right nightmare sequence. Then I think there's a nightmare sequence where he wakes up and he's handcuffed to the bed.
There was another one where he was taking a bath and he had a.
No,
But yeah, you like that one better? The wake up on the bed.
not the waking up in the bed itself, but uh, kind of indicative of performance a little bit. The nightmare he has where he's running uh like through a subway station and he comes across the younger versions of himself staring into a fire. Um, I think that was the most interesting thing in the movie. So I'll say that dream sequence after he gets knocked out by uh anima.
The only reason I didn't like that dream was because when you were watching it, the subtitles revealed that the little kid was singing "Hurry Up Tomorrow" in Arabic. It's like that's kind of annoying, but it's kind of pat in the back. Uh, okay, worst scenes. Uh, the concert with the red stuff and that generic backing track where he just keeps saying "Wake those demons." It's probably not that bad, but I put here the rotating camera in the car because it looks cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say about cinematography is just a lot of repetitiveness with
And
the
then
tricks they do.
sneaky candidate for worst scene in the movie because we might have forgot it, but when he's yelling at the elevator, it's like it goes a lot longer than you think it would. And it's like, come on, go up, come on, what are you doing? Bad. And then the one that everyone's gonna probably pick, the Jenna Ortega slam dancing and lip syncing to two songs in a row.
And she's lip syncing too, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then okay, and then see that's tough though because that was bad. But what I made a separate scene for the weekend singing to himself in the bed for what felt like 10 hours. Give me the resurrection.
I'm just back to expecting to verbally say, I'm sorry, I can't tell you the truth," because she says, "I'm gonna burn you, let's tell me the truth," and then he almost gets burned. But then but it's gotta be the Jenna Ortega. She had to be thinking Razzies when she was lip syncing and dancing like that. And then when Trey Edward Schultz said cut, she said, "Really? You're making me do this?"
And the worst part was she was doing dialogue like American Psycho, where she's like, "Hurry up tomorrow, an underrated gem produced in 1983, produced by like she was doing the liner
Yeah, that's
notes.
bad. Yeah, adds to the badness too. Yes.
Dallas Sports is an underrated from a band having a good time while still making good music.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I actually seen a chunk of American Psycho, never in full, but American Psycho knows it's a satire.
I'm not willing to say that movie's good, but I haven't seen it yet. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. Oh yeah. So quotes. Best quote for tomorrow. I think one or two candidates. Yeah, it was like one. Okay. When Barry Keoghan is close to finding the weekend, he says, come on, open the door." It made me laugh because it's kind of silly. But it's not that good. Anything else?
I don't know an exact quote, but the scene, because he sings that other than Blinded by the Light, his second most famous song at the beginning of the movie, and then he's going to perform it again at the next concert stop. And Barry Keoghan gives him a pep talk.
Hmm.
He tells him, you're my brother. We've known each other forever. So Barry Keegan's pep talk. I don't have the exact words, so it's not a great quote unquote quote,
Yeah, that's good.
but I would say I'll say my favorite quote. And a movie not filled with good quotes, so take it with a grain of salt.
In hindsight, I should have put this just like isolate the parts where Jenna Ortega was telling off the weekend like you're an asshole and you do all these things to women. I was like, I kind of agree with you. I was like, okay, worst quotes. Underrated. The raspberries slash hissing while he's lifting weights in his dressing room. It's like,
Oh yeah, the raspberries. It's like stop spitting on me. I wasn't watching it in 3D, but it just felt like he was spitting on me when he was.
not really a quote, but also noises that drive me crazy. He goes to the doctor for his throat. And he goes, and it close up on his tongue.
Yeah.
And then this is a dumb quote, but it sounded terrible when I heard it. Barry Keegan's talking the weekend. Barry Keegan says, "I got some people from the label I want you to meet." And the weekend goes, "No." And then Keegan on point goes, "Bro." And I was like, well, why would you bother to do it like that? And then, God, that rant when the weekend's on the phone with the girl who won't pick up, and he's like, "You'll be nothing. I'm a fucking star, bitch." And it goes on like for 30, 40 seconds. That was really bad. Well, something else.
Something else. So when the weekend and Anima meet, they have a magical night and they have sex with each other, and then he says, "Don't ever leave." And then he wakes up next morning and does a total, so cliche, a total celebrity jerk thing and says, "All right, I'm gonna leave." And then she's like, "Wait a minute, you can't leave." And then she does talk a lot, but then he goes, "Shut up, shut the fuck up, bitch, shut up."
You don't know how this works.
And this is where I really saw how terrible an actor Weeknd is. So that is definitely him telling off Anima is my worst part of the movie.
Yeah, we kind of picked mirror versions of the same spot, which is cursing at women on the you know. Uh, okay, MVP of the movie. Uh, special effects by Zeke or Barry Keegan, and I guess I add Jen Ortega in parts, basically doing their jobs. Well, something else.
I think definitely Barry Keegan. His interaction with Weeknd actually were so entertaining, and then it was again cliche. I feel like I've seen in other movies before where I would say Anna is definitely the bad guy in the movie because she literally arsons without abandon. Fighting with her and then gets stabbed with something. I feel like I've seen that in a lot of movies.
Yeah, it was
But I thought that was an entertaining scene to a certain extent. So
how and there's so many movies where the guy's doesn't have to be a woman, but the guy's strangling someone, and you're like, oh, he's almost gonna die. And then they did it in Alien too. Alien, the one with the alien, the latter Alien movie, whatever, reaches for the knife and stabs. Like they do it all the time. I mostly agree with what you said. And then the least VP or the worst part of the movie, uh, those damned Weekend songs, Weekend's acting slash general speaking voice, or a non-existent, meandering, non-existent plot.
definitely not the last one because it's a lot of dreamy. What is happening? Is this really real movies? I would put in my top films of all time type thing. So definitely not that. I don't care for the Weeknd's music, but it's not terrible. And we went into this knowing it was a companion to his album, so that's fine. It's his acting is the worst thing.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think just if that's his resting speaking voice, it's like Neil's on a chalkboard. So I'll give the brief critical consensus based on what I read. Hurry Up Tomorrow may have some interesting effects and get at some cosmically interesting themes. And Barry Keegan and Jenna Ortega can kind of act, but mostly this is a weekend vanity project with no plot and no self awareness or humor whatsoever.
Uh, yeah.
Yep, it's pretty middle of the road in terms of like plot or stuff, and then weekend carrying over top. Talk about the Razzie Pantheon. We're pretty early in the thing, but yeah, thing is, like, I had a hard time sitting through this movie, The War of the Worlds, but this movie was more of a movie in terms of like trying with the visuals and hiring actors. Well, the World of the Worlds had good actors in it too, but they didn't do anything. So this movie's technically better, even if I enjoyed it way worse. So I put it co F tier. I have to admit it's slightly better than War of the Worlds, but not by a lot.
Uh, yes. War of the Worlds, the only benefits where it's so bad it's good type of thing. Yeah, in this movie, I think it ultimately failed as an art film. Cinematography's lame, and because it's in the realm of cinematography I really like an art film, but I agree it's second worst, and Electric State is Oscar worthy in comparison to these two.
Yeah, Electric State's generic as opposed to like a offensive or noteworthy. Speaking of, I hate doing that. What is that? Speaking of things, here's another thing. It's unrelated. All right. Talk about that poster in a bit, but let's talk about performance. Uh, So most people probably think of this as a Nicholas Roeg movie, but do you have any knowledge about the co-director, Donald Cammell?
No.
So he directed a movie that's on my list, it's actually on Tubi because it's such a wacky plot. It's a Demon Seed. Julie Christie gets impregnated by the devil.
Rosemary's Baby. Anyone?
Yeah, probably easier to watch than Rosemary's Baby, but yeah, I don't know. We'll find out. Yeah, and then you can ask me the more famous one.
What is your experience with Nicholas Rogue?
So I don't think I've actually seen. Have I seen any movies? I don't think so. I didn't look it up. I didn't do a full deep dive, but I've never seen Don't Look Now. It's most, if it's not his most famous movie, it's certainly his most applicable movie because it's a horror genre staple.
I did see Don't Look Now. It's much more conventional. It's easier to get through. I would say it's better. I mean, this movie's not trying to be Manfield Earth, which
I
is
read the book, The Witches, so I'll see it. I'll watch it at some point. But
I don't think
no, I don't know. I actually haven't seen the movies, but I knew he was good, so I wasn't like blown away by this. I was blown away by this movie to an extent, but I wasn't like, oh my God, Nicholas Roeg can make a good movie. Okay, Camel got Kamel got sole writing credits. Do you have any insight into the producing career of Sanford Lieberson?
no, that's not him. No,
So he seemed to make a career out of only doing weird indie movies. The most classical one I could find was Terry Gilliam's Jabberwocky, which is at least part live action, which I didn't realize. Makes sense, but I didn't realize it.
nope, never seen it. But good
And
for him for taking chances on films that are weird like this.
then
Some movies are related to Ray Nitschke. Well, deep cut. Anyways, the music was done by a Jack Nitschke. Are you familiar with his work?
I guess technically I was, but I didn't know my name. Uh, he wasn't the composer, but he he worked on The Exorcist. He worked on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and he that was a full score, but I also scored Officer and Gentleman. So it's like he only does Academy Award winning classics. Other than this,
That's probably a start. I don't remember the music at all on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Very, very. If anything, I remember being the opening scene when they're doing the credits is they're driving Jack Nicholson to the hospital, and there's no music whatsoever when they're driving him. So I just,
well, famously they play a song when the chief kills,
oh yeah, that
and
it's
escapes.
kind of cheesy to be honest. But
Yeah, it's kind of a weird movie to score because
it's a great movie.
I mean, yeah, but
Milos Forman is a artiste.
it reminds me of like Harold and Maude, where it's not bad or anything, but it's kind of it almost comes across sappy because it's so humanistic in its nature. But yeah. Okay, now I get into the cast. I'll put two down because it's a British movie. You have any recollection of James Fox as Chaz the gangster on the run from other gangsters?
Uh, no, I, you're gonna tell me, but it's one of those guys like it looks familiar, and then
He's actually, I mean, I don't know if he's dead yet, but he was working consistently, but he didn't have like a huge career. He played he played Veruca Salt's dad, but in the Tim Burton Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. What a bombshell! He's only in the bad one. Uh, and then yeah, he was in Passage to India. I don't even know if he was the lead. I think he was the lead in that one.
never saw it.
And I think he's older. He has a smaller part in Sexy Beast.
Is that the Ben Kingsley,
Yeah, and then it's that fat guy who was in The Departed. It's like,
Ray
can you
Winstone?
fuck a period? Yeah.
Also, voice of Beowulf, infamously.
Yeah, that's not top of my resume for him. No.
All right, the bigger star
Oh
of
yeah,
this
go ahead. Sorry.
movie.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about Mick Jagger?
So obviously he was in the Rolling Stones, but I knew Mick Jagger was gonna do a great job in this movie because he hosted SNL in might be like every decade of the show's existence or something like that. It's close.
In the 80s and the 90s.
And 70s. But yeah.
Okay.
But very clever, articulate actor, especially in comedies parts.
Very,
He's way ahead of his time for musician actors.
yes, he's very aware of himself, and this movie's kind of indicative of that. I mean, he's not. I don't think. I wouldn't say he's acting like Mick Jagger in this movie, but he's. I think a lot of musicians would have refused to be in a movie like this because it is kind of making fun of musicians.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Briefly talk about the title. A great movie, but performance is one of those titles that it's very hard to remember, kind of hard to remember, and
Yeah,
it kind of fits. It does fit. Obviously, literally fits the theme of the movie because both characters play someone else in the movie, but they kind of came up with a little bit of a longer title just to snappy it up. But yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's not a great title in itself. Not saying it's a bad movie, we're good,
Yeah.
but it's yeah.
Okay. And then the poster. It's a very clever poster. You kind of see it. They show Mick Jagger in both his roles and James Fox in both his roles. The hippie James Fox is a little less defined in the movie. But anyway, my only knock on the poster is it reads like a comedy poster. It reminded me of that. You remember that movie? Oh, I should look up what it's called. It's like Bette Midler and Lily Tomlin play identical twins, and there's a mix-up.
God, I thought about that movie in forever. I'm not gonna pull the title.
I know, but it's just like kind of that's what this movie reminds me of. Is like, oh, look at there's two different James Foxes.
Yeah, I agree. It's deceptive because I thought going into it that they would literally almost like run into each other like a Parent Trap. Uh, but no, it's they literally dress up,
Mhm.
kind of morph into it. Not even really different characters because no one thinks because the James Fox, clean cut James Fox is Chaz. That's what I get introduced to him as. And then he gets dressed up later as with a wig and makeup and his outfit's more rock and roll or whatever. No one thinks it's, oh, where did Chaz go? Or
Yeah. Uh, Tagline. This film is about vice and versa. The movie's is accurate to the plot. It's very clever. Also, kind of reads like a comedy, but I get that this movie is kind of funny in parts, and it's unintentional, wry, smart way, I guess. So it's not terrible to be comedy, I guess. But yeah,
it's definitely Vice. In fact, I was surprised in a good way how brutal of a gangster James Fox's character is. And actually, it's actually kind of in a way critical to the film, I would say.
yeah.
Uh, but I don't really get the Versa part. It's just someone being
Well,
clever.
versa literally means opposite, so it's just just the poster.
But it shouldn't be the opposite of the vice, the criminal things that are happening. And
Nope. That's why there's a period because the vice is still there in verse.
I was judging the movie just on the title and that tagline. I would say this is one of the worst movies ever. But no, I would say
I mean,
harsh, but
it literally reminds me of Vice Versa, a movie I could never sit through even as a kid with Fred Savage and Judge Reinhold. Terrible. See the poster. Kind of reminds me of not quite the level of uh, well, stuff talking about 1980 movies, I guess, but the Shining with the whole like Stanley Kubrick literally invented a trailer from his mind's eye that wasn't in the movie really, but it's not that far, but it's pretty close. Like definitely Roger Camel had an insight on it because it's a lot of clever cuts and stuff. Yeah, it's good trailer.
Oh, trailers. I just want the
This
post.
trailer, yeah. Uh, it's almost worth rewatching it because like I don't think it was Orson Welles, but the guy sounded like Orson Welles. It was kind of funny. And they played like 90% of the Mick Jagger in a suit song, so of course I like the trailer. It's awesome. Yeah. So I'll talk about the awards briefly. So as we'll get to in the critics and stuff, at the time of release, a lot of people thought this movie was pornography, so it did not get a ton of Oscar buzz. It did. Anthony Gibbs, who literally co-edited Fiddler on the Roof the same year as this movie, was nominated for a BAFTA for editing, losing to Sunday Bloody Sunday, which is a movie directed by Midnight Cowboy John Schlesinger about a bisexual man dating a woman and a man at the same time.
Was that Bob Hoskins movie?
No,
No, never mind. Uh, it's very visual, beautiful film and edited well too. So yeah.
I mean, probably should have been nominated for like director, cinematography, and even supporting actor for Jagger or someone. I like both acting actually, but yeah. All right, time for a trivia question. It's a little more up your alley. Is there answer questions about single game performances in sports? What two teams were playing when Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points in a single game? Location and nickname required twice.
The Philadelphia Warriors and the New York Knicks.
Yes. Yankee Don Larson pitched a perfect game in the World Series in 1956.
Did, unfortunately.
What Dodgers Hall of Famer was the only opposing hitter who got a 3-ball count? He only did it once.
Don Luca?
Batter.
If I say he was opposing pitcher.
Hitter.
I'm sorry. Pee Wee Reese, I don't know.
It was Pee Wee Reese. Larson was so efficient, he never got a 3-ball count on anyone except for one hitter.
Well,
So not only did Sid Luckman throw 5 touchdowns in the 1943 NFL championship game, he also played defense and got 3 picks off of what first ballot Hall of Fame NFL quarterback? So the charter institution of the Hall of Fame. So first Hall of Fame, whatever. How do you call that?
43 for Johnny U. Why Tittle?
Slamming Sammy Baugh. This is a hard question, or whatever.
Yeah,
I put Blue Jay. That's not right. Toronto Maple Leaf. Jesus. Daryl Sittler scored the most single game points in NHL history. How many points, aka goals plus assists, did he score?
8.
He got 10.
Yeah.
In the 1986 World Cup, Diego Maradona scored 2 goals that are famous for different reasons. Can you provide both nicknames for his goals? One, an infamous alleged handball, and the other, a breathtaking run through 5 English defenders. 2 answers required.
Mano de Dio, or Hand of God, is the
Yes, that's correct. That's handball, yeah.
5 defenders, so I have to try to fraud this. It's definitely gonna be it. Darting through the mulberry bush.
It wasn't really linked to anything. It's just that because it's how great it was. Is the goal of the century.
Okay, calm down.
Yeah. Oscar stuff's kind of bleeds over the other movie, but
Yeah.
as we talked about, experiments with cinematography and editing, very ambitious makeup design. Even like Chaz, most of the movie has something on his face, like the whole movie. It was very, very ambitious and good looking too.
Yep.
And then I just really love the sound design, particularly the music mix. It's always top notch. Good movie. All right, let's talk about the awards. Oh, my awards. The best scene candidates are. I probably should have put this all in one, but all those intercuts of what Chaz is thinking. I really like those cuts. When Chaz crawls around on the ground while being beaten and rolls up with the gun.
Yeah.
An image of a British kids film while watching the guy he shot die. The camera move where Chaz is talking to his friend at the mob office or whatever, and the camera pans out to show the guy with the cigar in his bedroom. Let me more sense I remember it. Okay, the Mick Jagger song about the being who you are, and then the bullet goes through the guy's brain, and the shot ends on a building. And then when he shaves the chauffeur's, I can't say it. Chauffeur, let me say it. Chauffeur shaves the chauffeur's head while he's pouring acid on the car. And at the end, the guy's unconscious, but he takes out his mirror and he goes like, "See, look at here." Yeah, yeah. So I want to know something else.
Even though the second half movie is more of a mess, and actually the mob part before he goes into hiding at Mick Jagger's house is probably better movie. I'll give it the trippy music video thing.
I think the Mick Jagger song is yeah that's my favorite thing in a lot of movies. All right, all right. And then worst scenes on the list. Okay, as I put the top, I'm mostly doing slow stuff when Chaz is tripping with Mick Jagger in the second half of the movie. The mushroom trip, getting fitted for clothes while Mick Jagger just keeps talking, and that awkward sex scene. There's a lot of them, but he's being teased by a British lady.
I don't think either of them are British. The two women in the house, one's French and one's uh, Anita Pallenberg. I think she's
Well,
somewhere in the Scandinavian. Just give it a little second half of the movie. Almost makes it sound like I hate the movie, but I don't. But talking about mushrooms, I guess, which probably have multiple times. Like, what do you think of this mushroom? Oh, it's gross. It's disgusting. It's like, no, it's not.
I didn't like the clothes fitting scene because I didn't like the whole James Fox character change. Just took me out of the movie because I was like, you're gonna wear a wig like that? Okay, and it's kind of like felt my suspension of disbelief kind of dropped a little. All right, quotes, good ones. Best quotes. Candidates are, "I am a poet," and then the rent. I don't call everyone by the wrong name. The lady renting the apartment says, "How do you entertain?" And she's got her foot by her crotch, and he just goes, "A juggle, a juggle, a juggle." That was pretty good. And then the little boy. This happens a lot in the movie, but he just shows up during a sex scene or something. He goes like, "Hey, anyone want a cup of tea?" It cracked me up when I saw it. And then Mick Jagger's talking to James Fox. He goes, "You're the anti-gravity man." I put the whole Randy Newman song at the end credits. That was a really good song. And then Chaz saying I said shut your hole while he was pouring acid on the car. It's not on paper, it's not that good of a line, but he said it well. But anyway, or those something else.
I'll say I'm a bullet.
That's probably the one you put in the trailer. Anti-gravity man, just because it's different. Worst quotes of performance, not that many candidates, obviously. Generic category for all the fat British character actors, mobsters talking. It just got kind of repetitive.
I actually like that a lot.
Yeah. And then more of a logical complaint than a plot, like a bad quote complaint. Mick Jagger insisting he switches places with James Fox at the end. Well, or something else.
Definitely has to be something in seclusion part with Mick Jagger and the two girls. I honestly can't remember the dialogue that well. It's fine. I'll just say that she's having sex with the girl we are talking about before, the Anita Pallenberg's character, I think. And she goes, what do you think of my muscles?" And he goes, "It's very nice." And it's like a lot of random dialogue like that.
Yeah. All right, MVP of performance. Got James Fox, Mick Jagger, Randy Newman score, Rogan Camille directing, or all the editing camera stuff in the context of 1970s special
Can I ask a
effects.
question? Why is Jack Nitsky this person for score and then Rainy did they both scored the movie?
Oh, so I guess when I looked it up, he did the actual. They might have even said in the credits that Randy Newman did the score, but the Wikipedia said Jack Nitschke. So I guess they gave Randy Newman credit because he put a bunch of songs in there, and then Jack Nitschke did the. That's my answer. I don't know.
Okay.
Just put Jack Nitschke with Randy Newman if you want. Yeah.
Kind of think those things together make the movie, so it's hard to pick an MVP. We'll give it to the direction overall, I guess. I would give it to James Fox, but I think he might be the worst part. That's a bit harsh. Sorry, James, you're fine. But in the seclusion part,
Oh,
uh,
yeah, that's fair. I go with Mick Jagger because expectation, and then he was good. So, yeah. And then performance, least valuable player part. Uh, Shocker, the second slash third act drags on forever.
yeah.
Uh, all the British gangsters kind of look the same. It's kind of weak, whatever. And then way too many sex scenes and blurry shots of naked ladies.
I think that kind of blends into the dragging on forever.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So I say that. I actually give. I think the gangsters looking acting like is intentional and kind of is supposed to be a juxtaposition to the Mick Jagger, and it makes it more surprising that Mick Jagger gets them all to strip at the in the music video.
Yep. Does critics consensus? Uh, so there's two consensuses because initially, performance was seen as overly sexualized, poorly laid out mess of a movie
Yeah,
that got by with Fox and Jagger having charisma, and everyone was kind of repulsed how naked the women were. But then after the 70s, pretty much, it got very popular, mostly because it's like the most artistic gangster movie ever made. I don't think you think of a traditional gangster movie that has that much digression from the norm or whatever. Yeah, and also some people read into it as a brilliant take on identity politics and the end of the 1960s slash peace and love. I don't know if it goes that far, but it was a
very
good movie.
very
Yes.
good. Uh,
So in the quote unquote uh, greatness pantheon, like I said, it drags at the end, but it's got great acting, got a great look, great editing, great storytelling that didn't hold your hands and be like, this is the plot, And then the action scenes were all good while they were there. It's one of those movies that challenges your point of view on cinema, whether you want it to or not. Reminded me a little bit of Peeping Tom by Michael Powell. Peeping Tom's a little more traditional, a little more horror-y, but kind of like it's about movie cameras and point of view and stuff. It's kind of reminding me of that. This is I put this S tier of our what do we call it, anti-Razzie movies or whatever.
mhm.
Uh, Blue beat the devil out of the water, which is kind of in part the time period and stuff.
Bit hard to
But
compare. But I agree. Much better than Beat the Devil. Um, but Beat the Devil's a fun little satire.
yep. So let's get out of here with guessing. Don't look too much. The next movie. This is a 1978 movie that was on the 1979 Bad Stinkers Movie Awards. So first clue, you're not gonna get this, but a very unpopular romantic drama about a composer, and also features small character roles for New York Daily News reporter Jimmy Breslin and pompous sounding sports writer George Plimpton.
For the Lion.
More words of me, you wish. So there's not much else to do. So really rapid fire, try to do one word at a time, build a title, and it's all stupid. But okay. First word, the conditional conjunction.
If.
Yes. Second word, at any time. Yeah, the dictionary definition of the word is at any time.
When.
Um,
Uh,
Blank after is a fictional fantasy location.
oh, if ever.
Yes. Third word, the ninth letter of the alphabet slash the first person pronoun.
If ever I.
Fourth word, use your eyes.
If ever I see.
Fifth word, the second person pronoun.
If ever I see you.
Last word, do once more.
If I ever see you again.
If ever I see you again. Hopefully available on YouTube because it's not. I did find a YouTube video, but that's the only way to watch it. It's not traditionally streaming. And then I don't know if you'll do this off air, but I was thinking for potentially alternative movies to watch, movies about modern composing. The most obvious one, the director of this movie directed and wrote music for You Light Up My Life, which won Oscars, but I don't know if that's good enough for your ranking.
Doesn't be perfect. I'll think of it.
There's also I have other candidates are Maestro, the Bradley Cooper Leonard Bernstein movie, Phantom of the Paradise, which is technically about a composer because Paul Williams is in it as a composer. It's mostly a De Palma horror movie. Tick Tick Boom, which is the movie about that what's his name? The guy did Rent, Jonathan Larson.
Oh yeah.
So one of those or whatever you pick, but we'll talk about it more. Look somewhere in the next time on Tween Bill. Book me on your shows or let's be best friends and hang out maybe. I don't know.